What does it actually cost to run a robotaxi 1 mile at a time? This question cuts to the core of AV business strategy. Because until the math adds up, robotaxis remains a science project, not a business. Waymo is scaling fast. They're doing about 250,000 rides every week across 5 cities. And they have more launches planned on the way. But growth alone doesn't guarantee profitability. In this segment, we'll explore Waymo's unit economics. Let's look at how much it costs to drive 1 mile autonomously. Because if every mile costs more than it earns, then every new ride just burns more cash. We estimated Waymo's cost and revenue per mile from its San Francisco operations. This area is where the company is most mature. We found insights that reveal a deeper story about the economics of autonomy. By the way of background, I played a key role in the engineering and product development of the Cruise Origin, a purpose-built autonomous vehicle. So I got an inside view of what it takes to launch AVs from the prototype stage to hitting public roads. With that lens, let's break down what is really happening behind the scenes in San Francisco. Let's start at the top, the economic foundation of a robotaxi business. There is the upfront investment, the R&D billions spent on AV software covering perception, prediction, planning, control, and the full stack of implementation required to make the vehicle behave safely and predictably in the real world. There is the simulation platforms for training and validation, testing fleets, regulatory compliance, and in-house hardware development. This massive spend is usually expensed upfront because unfinished software can't reliably be valued. But here's the key. Every dollar spent on R&D must eventually be recouped through revenue per mile. That's what makes unit economics so critical. It's not just about today's cost, it's about justifying yesterday's investment. So what does it cost Waymo to operate a robotaxi in San Francisco? In total, it cost about $2.31 per mile. This is due to the high vehicle costs, fleet operations, and the infrastructure needed for autonomous driving. Now compare that to a typical human-driven Uber ride in the same market. The cost per ride is around $1.97. This is mainly because drivers cover many expenses. They pay for their vehicle, time, maintenance, insurance. At face value, Uber looks cheaper to operate, but costs are only half the story. What about the revenue? UberX's fare structure in SF is approximately $1.30 per mile and 30 cents per minute, with a base fare of about $2.75. A typical 7-mile, 20-minute ride adds up to $17.85, or about $2.55 in revenue per mile. Waymo's pricing is similar, $1.66 per mile, 30 cents per minute, plus a base fare. A 7-mile, 30-minute ride comes to about $30 or $4.30 per mile. In summary, Waymo replaces human labor with software and infrastructure. The current per mile cost is high because of costly sensors and garage operations. However, Waymo doesn't pay drivers and uses a premium pricing model. This allows them to keep better profit margins per mile, especially in San Francisco. Now let's look into what's driving Waymo's biggest costs, starting with vehicle depreciation. Each 5th generation Jaguar I-Pace, Waymo's current vehicle on the road, cost around $140,000. This includes about $80,000 for Waymo's autonomy hardware and $60,000 for the base vehicle. Depreciated over 200,000 miles, that comes to about 70 cents per mile. That's almost a third of Waymo's total costs per mile. This expense comes from the high-end sensors like LiDARs, radars, cameras. It also includes compute units, power, cooling systems, and localization hardware. Next, let's look into fleet operations, the second major cost driver. Waymo's fleet in San Francisco relies on at least 4 major depots and maybe more. It also has several parking lots. These depots and parking lots serve for charging, cleaning, maintenance, data offload, staging, incident management, and more. Here is what it looks like per mile. Garage leases are about 35 cents. Capital equipment amortized costs about 17 cents per mile. Personnel cost comes to about 48 cents per mile. So the fleet operation cost in total is about $1 per mile. This is the layer where operational efficiency and scale really matter. Waymo currently serves 35 million revenue miles per year in San Francisco. That number comes from a fleet of around 500 vehicles completing roughly 110,000 rides each week. Waymo is set to provide around 5 million rides each year in the city. This is based on CPUC data from Q4 2024 and a projected 10% growth rate through 2025. Multiply that by an average of 7 miles per ride and you land at 35 million miles a year. But here is the interesting part. That fleet could deliver up to 58 million miles each year based on its operational capacity. How? Optimize operations by boosting revenue miles and cutting downtime from charging, cleaning, maintenance, data offloads, etc. As utilization climbs, cost per mile drops, margins expand fast. To put it simply, Waymo makes about $2 for each mile driven. This is from the $4.30 in revenue per mile minus $2.31 in cost per mile. With 35 million miles, that totals around $70 million each year. If they achieve full fleet utilization at 58 million miles, the margins may exceed $116 million. This would happen without any price changes. It's the same vehicle, same ride, but with more miles driven and better use of fixed costs. Robotaxi success isn't just about smarter AI, it's about sustainable economics. This means matching hardware, software, infrastructure, and operations to lower the costs and increase utilization. If Waymo lowers its cost per mile and boosts its revenue miles, it'll not only show that autonomy works, but also change the economics of urban mobility. But autonomy alone won't get us there, not without the right partners. In the next episode, we'll explore how strategic partnerships, not just better tech, could decide who wins the AV race. And yes, we have been intentionally quiet about the biggest wildcard in the space, Tesla. If Tesla reaches level 4 autonomy, their all-in-one model could beat everyone's cost per mile, including Waymo's. We will tackle that competitive threat in a future episode.